grassroots soccer, which 99% of coaches live in on the day-to-day. And with this video, I want to talk about, I think the miscorrelation between the licensing from U.S. soccer to what happens at grassroots. Now, again, like I've talked in other videos, I think what U.S. soccer is doing is trying to make better coaches prepared for the elite level. Elite level being like MLS academies, USL pro teams or whatever, college and professional teams. Love that. I think it's fantastic. Because for sure, we need to all be more professional, need to work in a certain way. Agreed. Now, the challenge is if you work in grassroots like I do, you guys may or may not know this, I own, I direct, and I coach for my club. I do all three roles, and more, by the way, but that's the point. And the thing is, I think where U.S. soccer should have taken some of these ideas, and I don't know if they will, but I will do it. So it'll come out, it'll take me some time, but I've realized this needs to be done. And it's to develop a process that actually is implementable to coaches at grassroots. Because the whole licensing structure, especially with the C and above, is structured towards developing a coach to be prepared for the pro game, or at least closer to the pro game. And I love that. But then there's this whole other side of people that live like me and work in the grassroots. And when you work in grassroots, you typically, especially right now, as of September 2023, our grassroots, 80 to 90% of it, if not higher, is littered with kids across the country, by the way, not just in Florida where I live or where I'm from, which would be Virginia, Northern Virginia, is littered with kids that are not good enough, that cannot implement on a daily basis the C license and higher. So the grassroots piece is very important. And when you're a grassroots coach, you deal with kids that aren't very good, that aren't super serious, that are basically on their phone the entire time. They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're on whatever platform watching probably mindless content, to be quite honest. And that's what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And then you have parents that are a whole separate battle. And, me and a couple of buddies always, make jokes. Oh, it'd be great to have rich orphans, because we have to deal with parents that, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I'm being honest, is that we have to deal with parents that don't know anything about the game. Sure, you might have played high school soccer, or you might have played youth soccer yourself. That doesn't make you knowing what it takes to get to the highest level or to the next level. You don't know, and that's okay. But that's a battle that we deal with every single day. And there's really no processes to handle that, and it's crazy. And if we want to get players ready for the C license and above, there has to be a structure to develop players to get to that level. And this has always been my concern with U.S. soccer, and I can't say this for 100% certainty, but I have talked to a few people that have worked with U.S. soccer, and the guys that are in charge of putting this stuff together, who I think have done a good job if you're trying to propel yourself to be a top-level coach, don't see what happens in the day-to-day of grassroots. Yeah, they might go visit, the MLS academies and the MLS Next, Fest and things like that are supposed to be higher-level play. But again, that would be 3% of the country, right? Do you see where I'm going with this? If it's 3% of the country that play, what about the other 97% that play that aren't very good? So we're trying to build people for the 3%, but then we have the 97% that don't have the level, won't get to that level, and they're, I don't want to say being neglected, because I don't think that's the right choice of word, but they're not getting the value back to develop into a better person, a better player. Because if you're in the 97%, you're not going to become a top professional. You might be able to go to college and play, but I think you kind of get the drift of this. You're not being developed, you're not going to get there at a high level. You need to be developed, and you're not being looked at or valued. You're not getting the same value as somebody that's in the 3% bracket. And I think that's where a grassroots structure that can be implemented, where consistency across the board helps people, coaches, deal with parents, which is huge. And then on the other side, gives them a developmental structure, so that way we can then develop players here. Because like I said in the other video, we don't have the culture here. Our kids are not born with football. they get into soccer, but they're not born with football. So then we have to transfer them and transfer is not the right word, develop them to be prepared for what the C license, the B license, and the A license, and the pro licenses are coaching. So there's this huge gap, in my opinion, between the 97% on this side, and then there's this huge break here, and then you have the 3% here. So there's a gap with them here, not getting the developmental structure and the value back training perspective wise to improve and develop, to be prepared to implement what is taught at, say, the C license or the B license or the A license. So those are little things that I think add frustration to people like myself, because I'm like, yo, I love this. I love what the C license is delivering. It provides value in terms of, hey, if I want to progress, cool, I follow this path, cool. But what about me being in the grassroots? And I love being in grassroots because I love developing kids. Well, the only way that I have found success is because it's what I've learned through 31 years of experience, one from the guys that helped train me when I was a kid, to working with the same people to this day that have helped me be like, hey, this is how you do things, again, through years of experience. I got that over 31 years of training, being a player myself, coaching now, training now. Do I have every single answer? I don't. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But I have a lot of answers for how to managing these details and how to develop players to be ready for a C license and above. And that's what I'm going to start working on shortly for you guys, is to help answer those questions, because, like, dude, it's hard being a coach, and you have to answer parents that, you know, of course they mean well, but they don't, honest to God, know what they're talking about. And as a coach, that can be extremely frustrating, because you have to deal with people that, you know, go behind your back and talk bad about you, even though you're trying to do the right thing for their kids, but they don't always buy into it. And it's a hard battle, man. It's not an easy thing to deal with, and it can be quite frustrating. And, you know, this is my opinion, there's not a lot of people that are like me that want to do the right thing for kids. You know, especially if they say, hey, mom and dad, I want to go to college, or I want to be a professional player one day. There's not a lot of people working on those details to help prepare kids for that. And the good ones that are the few, like me, you know, we don't know how much longer we're going to be in the game from a youth soccer coach perspective, because I'm like, the amount of stuff I have to deal with on a daily basis from parents, and I know you guys mean the best, just like I mean the best. I don't have every single answer. You guys don't have every single answer. And I'm constantly battling with you because you think this, and I'm like, well, no, this is what I think because of what I know, my experience, my success, and the educational platforms that I'm using. Like, I always talk about the Croatian Football Federation Development Curriculum, which is the best book you'll ever read. Like, I feel like it's my brain on steroids. And by the way, just for reference sake, I recommend that book because I find extreme value from it. I don't recommend the book because I receive an affiliate. I'm not an affiliate of it. I don't make money when I refer you to it. It's just, I think the book is my brain on steroids. So I believe you should read it. Like, and a great example of it is, and this is huge, when they talk about possession, because that's one of they have a table that breaks this down, and they show the age groups. Before I give you the actual answer, I want you to think about it. What do you think possession looks like? The numbers involved. So, for example, a normal possession would be something like a 5v5 possession. You know, you're not trying to score, you're trying to keep the ball. You know, what do you think they say from U9 to U11? And I'm going to give you like 3 or 4 seconds. Think about it. What do you think they say are the numbers for possession from U9 to U11? And to be honest, the answer is going to shock you because we do it completely backwards here. And this is going to lead to my next point. Anyways, what they do is they say, do not go above 2 versus 1 in a possession exercise. Do not do it. Never go above it. Don't step higher. Just stay 2v1 from U9 to U11. And I'm like, oh my God. Only 2v1 possession from U9 to U11? I'm like, yo, we have freaking 8-year-olds doing 4v4 plus 2s. What? But their possession is 2v1. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. And of course, it's very similar stuff that I've already implemented before I even read the book. But I'm sitting there going, okay, so what they're trying to do is genius. because obviously they have a structure to develop players long term. Like, they've gotten to a World Cup final, World Cup semifinal, Nations League final, and produced a Ballon d'Or winner from a country that has 3 to 4 million people. So they're looking at it from a standpoint of, hey, we want to develop players to play at the highest level. They have implemented this curriculum across the country, and basically everybody's bought into it. So what's interesting is they want players to master specific numbers, 2v1s, 3v4s, 6v5, in progression over years of time. So imagine 2 years of training, 2v1. Like, don't you think you would just develop complete freaking superstars? And I'm going over here like, again, we have 8-year-old doing 4v4 plus 2s that can't control a ball, can't pass a ball, can't dribble a ball, can't play 1v1. They don't even have core skill. And I'm like, it's frustrating, bro, but that's the name of the game. So it's educating people to get over that hump, to buy into, hey, this is the way to do it if the kid or kids or players will have a chance to make it at a high level. Like, that is super interesting, and I think people don't really get that value from it. But that's why I will step up. I will develop a process to better help people through the grassroots, to help deal with parents, or deal is not the right word, to help manage with parents, and then a process to develop better players to be prepared for a C license, the B license, the A license coaches that they're going to get at higher levels. And I think if we can have that consistency from a grassroots perspective, then we can talk about maybe in 20, 30, 40 years actually winning a World Cup. But in my opinion, until we can have consistency where 60 to 70% is the frame, where 60 to 70% of the players are actually better and prepared for a C license or higher level programming from a player perspective, then we can actually talk about winning a World Cup. But when we have, say, 3%, we're not even close, in my opinion. We're 100 years away. So we need to change the grassroots first, get everybody bought into the development process in grassroots, or at least, again, 60 to 70%. Then we can talk about winning a World Cup, because then people are bought into the development aspect, preparing players for what's going to come to the C, to the B, to the A process and above. And that way we'll develop better players overall consistently. There's more competition. It's higher level play. They're better overall players. And then we can actually talk about winning a World Cup. That's my opinion. But I will get that, guys, done. I will get it done for you guys. And I will see you in a future video.